Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to another episode of Getting Dirty in the Neverwinter Nights 2 Toolset. Alright, we are continuing to play through Path of Evil, and we are in the town of Moran at the moment, and we did run into a couple bugs that are worth mentioning and making a video over. The first bug that I wanted to take care of is similar to the last one that we did, and it was involving a store. If you recall from last episode, there was a store that was allowing characters to identify their equipment for 0 gold in a tavern. I didn't really care for that, and I found another one that does the same thing. So we're going to fix that one, but I'm going to show you this time a different way to do that same script. So the one in question is in the second inn. So we are in the Moran folder, and that last issue that we dealt with last episode was in this inn 1 area. Now we're in the inn 2 area. So let's go ahead and bring that one up so we can take a look at it. Might take a moment for these things to load up, so be patient. Alright, so let's scroll around here. Where was the store? Alright. What was the name of this place? The Swinging Berth. Alright, over here by the barkeep, there is a store. And that's his. And if you look at it, you can see his identify price is also set to 0. Now, like I said in the last episode, we can easily just put -1 in there and just disable it so you can't identify anything through a barkeeper. But it's better to fix these things through script. That way it's save game compatible and it's so much easier. So let's look for that same script that we used in the last episode. If you come up to your PowerBar, come up here to open, and remember all the scripts are campaign scripts. So we're going to look in the campaign folder and we're going to look for that. Let's go for, it was called On Enter Bree Moran, I believe it was. So let's just do a filter for On Enter for now. Let's see if we can find it. Yeah, there it is right there. On Enter Bree Moran. This is the one we edited in the last episode. Let's open it back up. Yeah, it was this part that we added to it right here. And I put some notes up here too, just so I know what the hell I did with it last time. Oh, and this is another thing I can tell you about. This here is actually called a comment. When you have these 2 forward slashes right here preceding a line of code like that, that means it's just a comment. The engine will not process this at all. And the only real purpose for these is to make literally just comments in here so you can make notes in there, or if somebody else is reading your script in the future, they can see what kind of changes or something you did. And that's exactly what I did here. I made a note that I made a change to, I added code to prevent the inn stores from identifying items. So you can do that with any line of code. Let's say you didn't want this line of code to fire at all. You want to disable it. All you got to do is this. Put a couple forward slashes in it, and you'll see that the line will turn green. That means it's commented out. Like I said, the engine at that point will not even process that line of code. It'll just skip right over it. Now, there's another way to do blanket comments. Let's say I wanted to disable this whole part right here. Instead of putting forward slashes in front of every line, there's something you can do to do a mass comment. You can start at the first line and put a forward slash and then an asterisk, and then at the end just reverse that, do an asterisk, then a forward slash. So everything in between those 2 sets of symbols right there is now commented out. As you can see, it's all green, so that means the engine will not even process those lines of code. Of course, you can still go in here and just do forward slash, forward slash, all these lines, but you don't want to do that. That's a waste of time. Just do a mass comment like that. Alright, so those are comments. Those come in handy, especially with notes. Alright, so like I said in the last episode, this is what we added to fix that tavern. Now we want to do the same thing to fix this inn as well, to make sure this one doesn't allow the merchant to identify magic items for nothing. So I could potentially just copy and paste this and just cut and paste new names and stuff like that. Now let's see, let's go back to this. What was the tag on this store? This store is called Store 002. Let's copy that tag and let's paste it into this one now. I could easily just do that, and do the, now it does the Tavern 001 and it does Tavern 002. But let me show you another way that you can also do this. Now if you look inside set store identify cost, down here you can see it says object and then integer. These means they're already declared if you put them inside these parentheses. So I could potentially see how ostore, remember how we said ostore equals this, and you can just now substitute ostore and put it in here. What you can do instead of doing that, you can just put this part, let's just cut this and then put it in here just like that, and then just get rid of this altogether. You see what I just did there? Now I don't need this declaration because I just embedded it right inside of the function as a parameter itself. That'll save you some lines. Now, there's times when you really have to have this identified up here, especially if you're going to use this variable over and over again in multiple lines, so you don't have to do this over and over again. You can just use this same variable in all the following lines if you have that in your code. But in this particular case, this is just fine because we're not using it again. I could potentially do the same thing with this one up here. Just get rid of that, and then I'm just going to cut this out of there and put it right in here and just get rid of this declaration altogether. That worked just fine, just like that. Now I can see set store identify cost for Tavern 001 and do the same thing for Tavern 002. So I'm going to leave it just like that. So let's save it and see if it'll compile correctly. Yep, compilation successful. Let's just leave it like that because we're not going to need those declarations in there anyways, and this is neater like that. And it cuts down on a lot of unnecessary lines of code, to be honest with you. Alright, so that's pretty much it to fix that. So now both of those merchants, this one in here and the other one in the other inn that we did in the last episode, neither of them will be able to identify magic items for you for free. They won't be able to identify anything at all, as a matter of fact. So that's that. So let's close out of that, and we're not going to be in this inn area anymore, so let's close out of that. I don't need to save that. Now the second thing that we're going to look at is there was a transition problem going on, and it was in Central Moran area. Let's go ahead and take a look at these area names here and see if we can find something that might be Central Moran. Here's one that says Moran Center. That must be it. Let's go ahead and open it up. Give it a little bit of time. Might take a little bit to open this place. It's a little bit bigger than other places. Alright, here we are, Central Moran. Now, the transition in question was this one that was way over here on the east side. This transition is the one that will take us over to the east part of Moran. So let's click on that transition. Now, if you remember a few episodes ago, we were dealing with the same thing. When we transitioned through it, our animal companion was not transitioning with us. It was like in a limbo spot. In that previous episode, we had found that this party transition property was set to false, like that. But as you can see, this one's already set to true. There's a transition to a waypoint here, and there's also a waypoint right here in the linked to. So why did it fail? Well, the reason it failed is because there's a custom script here on onClick event handler. This onClick, these scripts up here will override all this stuff down here. This stuff doesn't matter if there's an onClick event up here. This is going to take priority over these all the time, as long as there, even if there's a blank script here, let's say there's a script in here and there's nothing, and it does nothing, then if you click on that transition right there, it's not going to do anything, even though this stuff down here is filled in correctly. This will completely override these properties right here. So as you can see, this one's in German here, and that's Gebietswechsel, I believe is the pronunciation of that. And I believe that means area change or area switch or something like that. So let's go ahead and open the script and see what's going on here. There you go. Yeah, it looks like it's all in German here. Ermitteln das etwas den Auslöser betritt. And here the Kennzeichen, actually it's Kennzeichnung des Wegepunktes eingeben. And we also have Ist es kein Spieler, dann mache nichts. Alright, that's all in German. I think that means if not the player, then do nothing. Something like that. But anyways, let's take a look at this. So we're looking for a... As you can see, we got a declaration set here with a definition. It's looking for the get clicking object. So while you're controlling your character, when you click on that transition, it's the object you currently have in control. That's what get clicking object is. Now this next one, actually, you know what? Let's clear this stuff out of here. So there's no confusion as to what's going on. Let's clean this all up. Let's remove all of these commented items here. And let's see, let's get rid of these lines. And let's clean this up here. Get rid of these spaces and let's indent this correctly here. And yeah, these guys got some extra spaces in there too. I don't like spaces. Alright. Except when they're in parameters. That's when I like spaces. Alright, now that looks a little bit better. Alright, so we know what get clicking object is. That's the character you have currently in control when you actually click on that transition object. Now the next declaration is get transition target. This one here is, as you can see in the definition down here, get the destination of a waypoint or door for a trigger. Okay, and that is this right here. Linked to. That is the transition target. As you can see, we have the transition trigger selected, and these are the properties for that transition trigger. So that linked to tag right there, that is the get transition target. That's what it's looking for. Now if you can see, it says object self. Object self means it's the object who currently owns this script. And the current owner of this script is actually this trigger, because it's in its event handler here for on-script event. That's what the object self is. Okay, that's always going to be the owner of that script. Okay, now if we move on, if you see get is PC, and it's checking on O player. So what this means is whoever the clicking object is going to find out if that clicking object is a PC or not. This is actually, you don't need this in this particular format or the particular usage of this script. This isn't actually needed because NPCs don't click on objects, only humans do. So so you really don't need that part, nor these curly brackets right here, these curly braces. You don't need them at all. So we could potentially just remove them. Now going back to what this is getting at here, if that is a PC, whoever clicked that, then execute this line of code. That's what that's saying. And it's saying assign command to the O player, which is the clicking object, and it's going to jump that object to the transition target, which is O target up here. Remember, see here we got O target and O target's right here. Remember, the transition target is this tag right here, and that tag is actually a waypoint that's on the other end over here in the eastern side. That's what that is. So it'll jump, whoever clicked on this, it'll cause them to jump over here in a different area. Okay, is everybody tracking so far? I hope so. Now I can tell you right now, this is not the way to do this. This assign command, the way it's set up, it's technically only supposed to jump that clicking target, but we want to jump the entire party. We want to jump the whole damn party. And I can tell you right now, let's come over here and let's look for some functions that might jump the whole party. So let's come up here to the script assist, and then up in the filter, let's just look for any functions that might do jumps. So let's do a filter for jump. Let's take a look at what we have. We have action jump to location, action jump to object, jump party to area. That sounds promising. We got jump to location and jump to object. Yeah, of all of these, which one sounds better that we need to do? We want to jump the whole party into another area. Wow, that one there sounds like it does just what it says on the tin, huh? Jump party to area. That's the one you should be using. This one's more reliable because it'll jump the entire party. Whereas this, the way it's set up over here, it's kind of sort of set up to only jump one character. That's why the animal companion isn't coming through with the whole party. So this is kind of oddball way of doing it. I wouldn't do it like this, to be honest. And we're going to fix it. We're not going to use this at all. Okay? So, let's just delete this. We're not going to need it. Let's get rid of it. Alright, now let's take a look. And if you see how you have to scroll like this, if you're tired of scrolling around like this and you want to have a bigger view here, just move your mouse until you see these little resizing handles, and then you can click on it and drag it up so you can see everything a little bit better. Let's take a look at that description for jump party to area. This script function moves a party to an object in a new area. That's exactly what we want to do. Okay. Now look down here. As you can see, it's a void, so that means we don't need to declare it or anything like that. Let's just double click it, and it's going to paste it right in there for you. Let's indent the area, and now you can see there's two parameters, and both parameters are objects. It's looking for the party member and then the destination. Okay, the party member in this case, and it might explain all this stuff up here in this description. If you're kind of confused as to what these all represent, just kind of look up here. It'll kind of define it. But what this is essentially asking for is the clicking. Whoever clicked this, that character's party is going to jump to a destination, which is going to be target in this case. Alright, so we're going to come up here and we're going to do left parentheses, and we're going to type player, because that's the clicking object, and we're going to do a comma, and then we're going to type target. That's the destination, and then right parentheses, and then semicolon. Okay, as simple as that. Now let's save this just to see if it's going to work for us. Remember how I said, remember, this is case sensitive. If it detects that there's a variable in here that doesn't match anything that was declared, it's going to error out. As you can see, I made it a capital L instead of a lowercase l here in player. So let's fix that. Now let's see if we can save it. Now compilation is successful. It should work fine for us now. Alright, now like I was saying earlier in the video, you could potentially, let me make a copy of this so I can show you something here. Let's make a duplicate of this. This is just for tutorial purposes here. Let's make a duplicate. You could potentially, instead of using player, you can use this, like I said earlier in the video, and put it in here just like that. Oops. And the same with this one, get transition object self. Let's copy that and then put it in place of target. That will work too. So if I comment out these lines right here so they don't take effect. Now let's do a save and compile. As you can see, compilation successful. It'll still work like that, just with this one single line. Instead of using 3 lines of code, all we need is 1. You see where I'm getting at with this? It makes it, it might be more simpler to a newer scripter to do it like this because it's easily understood. Plus, like I said, if you need to use player or target again later on in future lines of code in this, then you need to leave it like this so you don't have to duplicate this all the time. But in this particular case, you don't need to, because we're not using player and target but once. Okay, so if we get rid of all this, let's just make it 1 line of code and make it super simple. So what this is saying, jump the entire party to a different area, the party consisting of the guy who clicked on the transition, and they're going to jump to the waypoint destination of the owner of this script, which is object self, which is this tag right here. Simple, huh? I'm going to leave it like that. Now remember how I said I'm going to start leaving some notes up here so we know what we changed, because we might come back to something like this later on. Alright, change code to more efficiently jump the party. That's how alright, so whoever, like the author, Kamal wants to look at the script, he knows what I did to change this. Okay, so let's save it, make sure it's all good to go. Now that all works, so let's go into game and test it. Alright, here we are in game, and like I said, since this was a a campaign script, that means it's going to be save game compatible. So I just loaded my game up, and it should work now for us. Now before we made this fix, when we jump through this transition with our main character or one of our non-master companions, we would go through, but it would leave our bear behind. Now let's test it. I got my main character control right now. Let's go in here. And there you go, our bear is with us. Very nice. Now let's test it again. Let's go back through. You're gonna have to get out of the way, bear. Let's go back through. Now this time I'm gonna have one of my non-master companions go through it. Let's see what's gonna happen this time. Alright, there we go. The bear's with us, like it should be. So that's all fixed. I don't think there's anything else we need to do anymore. So I'm gonna end this video here, guys. I hope you guys like these videos. I'm gonna keep going as we keep fixing stuff. See you in the next one.